Welcome to the Archotechs, a RimWorld fluid ideology series about pursuing the Archonexus. Episode 62, Slated to Be. To briefly recap last episode, we had completed all of the 3 bedrooms we require to satisfy the needs of our trio. We are still lacking the throne room, and there's really no way for me to get that thrown together in 1.6 days. But we'll do what we can. We brought in a second group of laborers using Trustin's favors. And we also finished a tiny little barn. And we are starting to grow rice in a hothouse. This episode, what I'm hoping to do is to actually get a lot more progress on this throne room here. And then to start working on a ritual room. A ritual room to allow us to fulfill some of the ritual requirements we have, like symbol burning, the Arco Festival, the prisoner offering, and the gladiator duels. Resuming the duels would bring our trio much pleasure. So if this is going to be our throne and meditation room hybrid, which I think is probably the best use of this space, then the ritual room will be nested somewhere over here, away from where general storage will be. Sven almost got microelectronics researched, so I suspect that will be finished up quite soon. So we'll have the ritual throne, and what I can start to do is to mark where these things are going to go. So we can have the 3 thrones, and then we can also do reliquaries as well. The 3 reliquaries. And then sort of a meditation spot somewhere in here as well. Ooh, I might actually want to move these reliquaries off to the side. It will be uneven. And then leaving the meditation in the middle? I'm not really sure. This is obviously a work in progress. Or, alternatively, no, there's no space for that. Well, we'll figure it out. These things can move around. At the very least, this will be sort of the footprint. So what I'm going to try to do is to get the walls up and then start to get the floors. It's going to be a lot of flooring, kind of a crazy amount of material. One of the things I can do is to switch the rock type. So I can go from the marble walls to slate floors. Slate fine floors, and there should be a lot more slate nearby because we haven't really been using slate, so that will be one way to make it a little bit easier. Unfortunately for me, some of my guests here are, well, idiots, and they're annoying and greedy, and they're just causing a lot of problems. That's one of the reasons why I'm very resistant to bringing in guests, because sometimes they're just more trouble than they're worth. In this case, definitely more trouble, because when they have a insult break like they did, they end up pissing off others while they become cathartic and not working. So even if they have the on duty here, which is a positive mood modifier for when they are hired, I think Molska here would be fired in most workplace incidences. Oh well, what can I do? All right, so next thing, like I said, is the slate for slate fine floors. So we'll set up a slate queue here. Suspending that and that. Getting a whole bunch of slate blocks and then having our wolves haul the chunks so that they can be more easily cut. Perfect. Bunny is still mining this mountain to try to figure out exactly how deep I can go, because what I could do is I could put the ritual room sort of nested in here. So I think we found the rear wall dimension here. I'm not going to go any further than the overhead mountain. And she's no longer psychotic. Congratulations to her. It's funny to see how fast Trustin works compared to some of the hired laborers. In fact, I can hit him with a work drive. Speed this up even more. So the flooring in here will be fine slate. And we're going to need, oh, so many blocks for that. It's a very large room, so like 2680 or something like that. Something around those lines. It's a lot of blocks. So it looks like there's some overhead mountain here as well. Okay, there we go. So now we have the extent. It's going to be this dimension and then coming down. Doesn't need to be a particularly large ritual room. And then, of course, I think I mentioned reliquaries in here. What I meant is reliquaries in the ritual room, of course. Now, the only other thing is I'm not really sure about marble walls anymore. Because we have the smooth limestone. You know, I think what I'm going to do is to remove the limestone that I've smoothed here and replace it with marble. It will still block the overhead mountains, but it will look more correct, a little more flush. And I'm going to switch briefly going back to marble so that we can complete the walls. Microelectronics is done, so that's a big one that we've been waiting on. What I think I will do is immediately break down the research bench so that I can get a high-tech research bench in its place. Speeding Sven up considerably. And then going for probably geothermal, as having to constantly refuel wood-fire generators is a bit of a pain. Normally in this situation, I would start working towards... Well, yeah, I'm going to start working towards multi-analyzer. Trying to go tech up as fast as I can. Oh, it's actually kind of a good thing that I ended up switching the back wall styles, because here we have some compacted machinery that I otherwise would not have known about. Very useful. And I gotta say, we are getting more than the amount of floors that I thought would be possible in this time frame done. So if we're starting to roof it up here, I think I'll stick a few torches in to just speed up the future work. Because building in the dark comes with unnecessary penalties. This is a really large compacted machinery node, too. It's very nice. It's very surprising how far we have to travel for marble. We really used up a whole lot of it on this map tile. Quite the run. So in terms of wildlife, there's still plenty of things left to hunt, which is really good. One of the things I could do once I start to get rice harvested is to bait some of the animals towards the base so that I can hunt them more easily. I think I will be doing that. So in order to do that, all I would need to do is to set a little stockpile of rice outside where they can gain access to it. I don't mind losing a little rice if I gain a whole lot of meat. So, sounds like a good trade to me. Another thing I'm going to do is to have my guests here that I don't particularly like to do all the cleaning in the base, because the base is fairly filthy. And that should help speed up research as well. I'm going to let Celis, or whatever, I don't know how to say that name, do the farming though, because he's a highly skilled farmer, and that should allow us to get fine meals soon, or now. So the veggie zone and the meat zone, I am going to expand a little bit. So that we can have rice here as a high priority. And then I'm only going to make simple meals up until 10. And I'm going to put fine meals in to 30. Shuttle has arrived for the laborers. Okay. Bye, laborers. 'Twas nice. I think what I'll do is have Trustin call in another batch, because there is still more work to be done, and he has the honor for it. And let's hope this new 4 are useful with better traits. So we have 1 miner, 1 good miner. In terms of grow and plant cut, they suck. Construction, they suck. Cooking, they suck. Yeah, they're just very simple laborers, I think. Stone cutters. And cleaners. Oh well, what can you do? Can't all have winners. Alright, so Kadath, you are no longer going to be allowed in here. I keep forgetting to remove the wolves from new construction zones, but hey, I remember eventually. There we go. Now the other issue is... Oh, okay, they're not hungry. Good. And I'm going to put a stockpile zone, let's say here, of bait rice. Preferred rice. And that will allow us to clear out some of the animals that are to be hunted much, much, much more easily. Smithing is done. We'll jump to machining. And then once machining is done, I can do the multi-analyzer. So in here, I'm going to put limestone walls. Oh, and no luck. You need work to do. I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put wood out here, because wood is clogging up my stockpile in here considerably. And wood doesn't decay very fast, so I'm not worried about it rotting. And then I'm going to put another stone cutter so that I can cut more stone for the throne rooms. Get them done sooner than later. So I still don't have a meditation spot either. That's going to be something obviously we're going to need. For specifically Sven and Bunny, who have the aggressive psycasts. Trustin doesn't matter as much. And we found more compacted machinery. Wow, this mountain is full of surprises. So I'm going to fill that in with limestone so it doesn't become an infestation risk. And I should have plenty of limestone blocks to do that. Yeah, hundreds of them. My worry about running out of components is sort of gone now because of how much limestone we have managed to find. Or, sorry, limestone. How many compacted machinery we managed to find in this little mountain here. Gives me hope that there might be more in here, but they're kind of, you know, I don't know if I want to do that kind of expeditionary mining to try to find them. So up here, we'll copy and paste the slate block Q. Because no luck sometimes does not have tasks to work on. So the walls are now complete and we just have to fine floor it up. And it would be quite a lot more slate. So 86 times 1720 or 1720 slate left to place. But we're cutting it pretty quickly. Especially with no luck hitting production command. So then the other thing that we're going to need for thrones, of course, and the reliquaries that we have is a considerable amount of gold. More gold than I think exists on this map tile, which is the problem. So Grand Meditation Thrones will be 75 gold a piece, and then the reliquaries that we have are 75 gold a piece. So that brings the sum total of gold that we require up to 375. And I kind of doubt that there's 375 gold in this node here, and I don't think I'm going to find that kind of gold in the Ancient Danger either. I will go poking around the Ancient Danger at some point, especially when I have the capacity to take on slaves, because the Ancient Danger is full of slaves. But at this very moment, it is kind of a low priority. Just too much other stuff to work on. Constantina, once she is done, because she's the laborer that mines, once she's done with this steel here, she should head down to the gold and get that. We haven't yet baited the rice area. So this is preferred, meaning that this has to ramp up to important for us to actually put the rice where it belongs. And let's see, there we go. Now I have a little bit of bait rice, and with any luck, some of the elk down there are going to come try to eat the rice now that it is available. But more realistically, I'm probably just going to get rats and hares. In either case, we'll kill them and eat them. And the flooring is nearly done. Now, some ways I've seen to do baited veggies like this is to put them behind spike traps, because animals aren't aware of spike traps. They don't try to avoid spike traps. But because we have a finite amount of steel and I don't have a lot of miners, I don't want to waste my spike traps that way. Or my steel that way. These muffalo are pretty close to the base, so that's not going to be too hard to hunt them. They can want revenge all they want. It's not going to work. So here is the overhead mountain. It's not that large of a swath. It's going to be relatively easy to fill it all in. Oh wow, this muffalo's tougher for now. I may actually have the walls. Oh, there we go. Multi-analyzer time. Have the walls of the ritual room go out like this. So what is this? 10. So this is a 10 by 10 And this goes 5. Something like that might work. Yeah, okay. I can see it in my head. I don't know if you guys can, but I like this design. It will work for me. So it's going to come around and go up here like that. And they'll have a little cutout here. The other thing I could do is design it for reliquaries, but I think I'm just going to put the reliquaries in the back. And then the ritual room doesn't need fine flooring like the throne room does, so it's going to be a lot easier to floor up so it's nice. Hey, we have some rice eaters. So these guys are here for 2.5 more days. And they've helped to make a pretty sizable chunk of slate so far. Oops. I made Zaleb punch it, but hey, it still works. Snap the little bunny's neck. Nothing like a an Easter sacrifice. Oh, even some of the elk are coming up. That's what I wanted. Obviously, bunnies and rats don't yield a whole lot of meat for the amount of rice that I'm putting vulnerable. But elk, that's a different matter. That would work. All right, looking good. We're running out of marble again, so I will switch one of these tables over to marble. And Fairy just gave birth. I don't have a name for this foal yet, so I'll raffle that foal off for next episode. So what this will finally look like is something like this, perhaps. And that gives us the ability to put a lectern in there. So it's going to look something like this, where we have the lectern, but I'm not going to build that yet. And then the medium platform. And then pews. And put the reliquaries in the back. So for reliquaries, there's the 3 reliquaries. Oh, that's not symmetrical, is it? No, it is not. There we go. 3 reliquaries. I'll forbid that because I don't want to build them yet. And then we're going to need more marble for the remaining pews. Or we could do slate pews, I suppose. Getting a little cramped, though. Something like that. It's more pews than we need. But I like the design. And then over here, we just fill this in with limestone. So that it is not an infestation risk. All right, looking good. Stick a little torch in there so we can actually see what's going on. And now we have the layout of the throne and meditation room, and then the layout of the ritual room. So I've not been so diligent as to clear out the rice eaters. So they definitely managed to eat the stack. And one of my guests are having a mental break. No surprise there, that happens a lot. Evil Runner's gonna eat the whole rat. Oh, we have a lot of yaks though. That's gonna be really good. So with all those yaks, I'm actually gonna remove the rice spot, because with all these yaks, that's gonna be more than enough meat for us for a long time. Another thing to consider is, as we're heading out of Decemberary, I'm gonna need to install some air conditioning in here to keep the meat frozen in the summer. That isn't happening anytime soon, but it will happen eventually, so I might want to consider adding the AC before the Great Thaw. I think for now, it's less than ideal. For now, I'm going to throw down some wooden flooring. And my guests are all having mental break risks. One of the beautiful things about having Locust armor and super strong Cataphract armor is the risk to my colonists are very low. Very, very low. It would take a lot more than just a manhunting cougar to take them out. So have we started to mine that gold? We have. So far, 99 gold. And there seems to be about 99 more of it. So just shy of 200 gold, which is a good start for the required things that we need. And there we go, a second guest wandering. So if you take a look, a lot of the reasons these guests are worthless: pessimist. So being a pessimist obviously is a -6. They're cold, they're drowsy, they're in minor pain, they have a bad barracks, they're in darkness, they're uncomfortable, they ate at a table, so on and so forth. Real pain. Oh, Vamp Alliance. 20 coming to kill everyone. So one of the things I want to do right now is put the wolves somewhere a little safer, because Kadath is sleeping somewhere not really safe. Another thing I can't rely on is Psi Focus, because we haven't been meditating. So we have a little bit of Psi Focus left, but not nearly enough to really make that much of an impact in combat. But what I can do is hit Marksman Command. And then as these tribals are filtering in, they're not in one big group, it'd be good to hit them off and get to them before they become one big scary blob. They're breaking slate mountains in their way. That seems sensible. There also might be an opportunity to take some slaves here, provided some of these guys survive and they're worth enslaving. This is the first raid, of course, that we've had. Oh, and Constantina wants to go hug them. Yeah, that's probably not a wise idea, Constantina. So all of their breachers are dead, except for this one, I think. I don't suspect there's going to be a lot of survivors, given how this fight has been going so far. There's Eel, but Eel's dead in 2 hours, and they also lack a leg, and they have horrible traits, so probably not on the top of my to add list. Okay, there's 2 more. We've got Monkey, who's awful, and Bray, who's not terrible. Slowpoke and Undergrander's not a great combo. Oh, never mind. They barely have a body left. I think I'm going to dismiss everybody except for Bunny, because Bunny is Bloodlust and wouldn't mind getting the extra kills. Although she's already maxed out. But she can easily handle the rest, so everybody else can get back to work. Now, there's something else that I could do for Monkey and Bray, is to patch them up and have them gladiator fight one another as a way to christen our ritual room. The issue with that is I don't really have anywhere to put them at the moment, so I think what I'll do is stick them in the research room. And I'm going to try to capture as many prisoners as I can, just because we do like slaves. Fully knowing that these guys are probably not worth keeping, given their health problems. So Eel, I think there's no way to save Eel. He's dead in like 1 hour. So Eel's a lost cause. But the other two are possibilities. So I'm going to have Bunny and Zleb capture them and bring them in. The other thing I want to make sure that I'm not doing is the tribal weapons. I don't want. I don't want to haul. I don't want to store. I want to leave them alone. So one way to check this is to make sure, just right-click on it, so it looks like I forgot spears. Right-click on the items, and if there's nowhere to haul the items, then I've done my job. So nowhere to haul, nowhere to haul, nowhere to haul. Some of these weapons we can melt down, but I'm not storing them in my base, because that's just a waste of space. Okay, these guys have been delivered. Meds, or Dr. Care No meds for both. They have major wounds due to the charge rifles, so it's easy to patch them up because they're not covered in like small bullet holes. They just have a few big ones, which, strangely enough, makes it easy in RimWorld. Just RimWorld things, right? So we're going to need a lot more marble for the rest of the structures here. But this looks pretty good. I probably don't need more than 4 pews. And I think I'm going to go with slate reliquaries. Actually slate everything in here once we get around to it. Throne room first, because throne room is a need, and without one we have a -8. I'm already willing to deal with the countess specific apparel stuff, or count specific apparel, because we're wearing locust armor. I'd rather have the locust armor and need the apparel than the inverse, but that throne room need is going to add up. So we're just about done with the last of the walls here. Ooh, Bunny with an inspired creativity. And that's not helpful at all. The stockroom looks pretty well stocked full of meat, though. So probably don't need to worry too much about meat. Oh, and my my dogs, yeah, my wolves, I should say, can go back on Back on hauling. They got to punch in on Bunny. Oh, and then Sven punched her arm off. She's going to be quite the gladiator. We'll probably just sacrifice her, to be honest. She is not particularly useful, I would say, at this point. So, the gold. Oh, another thing that we could do is, yeah, and as you may have already noticed, Kadath and Evil Runner can eat corpses. So that's something else we could do, is to store corpses for the wolves to consume, so I don't really have to feed the wolves. And I'm going to do a fresh corpse for human likes that are not colonists here for the wolves to eat. So the wolves can start hauling in those bodies, and that can serve as a way to feed them in the summer months, or really all year round. Not bad. So 3 more, or 2 more, or I should say 40 more slate, and we're all set there. So there's a lot more air conditioning that is going to be required to keep the corpses frozen. But that's a really good way to feed certain pets, corpse-eating pets, wargs, wolves, even dogs. Very highly functional. If you're an evil society and you don't care about the sanctity of the corpses of your enemies, which, of course, we do not. Well, these guests have been exactly as helpful as I would have hoped, or I would have expected, I should say. They're a constant thorn in my side, providing almost no benefit to the group. They cut a little bit of stone, had mental breaks, started fights, etc. So in terms of a throne room, throne rooms are going to require a whole lot of things, but the first thing I want to do is to get the thrones built. Which means using whatever gold that we've mined up for the thrones, neglecting the reliquaries. Thrones come first. Witnessed an ally death and mind-shattering pain. These prisoners are going through kind of a rough spot, I think. We're going to need to start all of the trio, or rather no luck, to make art for the trio for side casting purposes. But now we're down to not having or hosting any of the guest laborers, so we can move these guys into their own little prison so they don't constantly try to fight Sven, which is oh so annoying. I'm roofing up the wood so that it's just deteriorating because of outdoors. It will half the deterioration speed. And then hoping that Trustin starts to finish the throne room project. We're getting actually closer than I thought I would. It's a lot of work, but it's going smoothly. The wolves haven't hauled any of these dead bodies yet. Oh, nowhere to store it. I must have screwed up somewhere up on this. Stranger human corpses. Oh, yes. Allow fresh, not rotten. There we go. That explains why we haven't made it. Interesting that Sven and Noluk have been flirting a little. I'm just looking at their mood modifiers to see if there's anything that I can do to improve them. There isn't much other than the throne room. The throne room's obviously the big one, and the lack of slaves in the colony. But as soon as these guys convert, I'll enslave them. And I can even keep them as slaves, minimally useful, of course, because they're crippled and don't do a lot of work. But, keep them as slaves to satisfy the requirements in the colony until, of course, I get highly functional ones, better ones. So Trustin is starting on the first of 3 thrones. And we have converted Monkey. So Monkey, you're going to be enslaved. And Monkey is the chemically fascinated cannibal who's jealous. So a total winner there. Absolutely 0 plant skills and almost 0 mining skills. A real asset, if you will. My guess is some of these dead ones were actually very, very useful, but they got smoted. No regrets. It's fun shooting them. And then this prisoner here has 1 arm missing, a lung missing, an ear missing, and asthma. So their ability to do work, even though they have cooking skills, is pretty limited. And because there's no such thing as a peg arm, I don't have prosthetics researched for her for a simple prosthetic arm or anything like that. That, and I'm not really sure I would want a slowpoke to begin with. The advantage of a slowpoke, however, would be that they're less likely to run away. Oh, here comes an Imperial trader. Not a tribute collector, but they might have some stuff. They'll have tech prints and things. Yeah, jump pack, components, harmonizers, noses, medicine. I haven't raffled off this full or the other full, and I might trade them instead. Might be easier. Tremendous structure. It's a structure. Oh, it's quite a large structure. The rewards, I don't think, outweigh the cost. So I'm going to turn that down. That's a massive structure for pretty minimal benefit. And it's a legendary throne. I think I'm going to put Sven. It's going to be owned by Sven. And then to make this dignified, we'll need 2 braziers, 6 columns, 2 drapes, and a piano. So the piano is research tech that I'm going to need to do. But the drapes and braziers and all that, that's relatively easy. The braziers aren't probably worth making until all the other requirements are met. Because until all the other requirements are met, all the brazier's going to do is burn wood for no reason. So I'll forbid them. But I'm making them dark light too. And then we're going to want 6 columns. And these aren't necessarily going to be structural columns. I think I'm just going to stick them there. 2 drapes. So go to furniture. And I should have the plain leather. Maybe drapes separating the thrones? Sort of? I don't know. Off to the side? Off to the side. I'll go with that. And then piano would be something required off of the smithing and complex furniture tree. But we don't have the research for that yet. I'll pivot for that research once the multi-analyzer is done. And then we're also needing an Archic platform to fulfill our desire for our ideology. But all of that stuff is going to have to come next episode. Because, friends, I'm out of time. Thank you for tuning in to The Archotechs, episode 62, Slated to Be. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to join my gaming community, Rhadamant.com or the description of this video have a link to Discord. Thank you so very much for watching. A special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel. I'll catch you next episode. Farewell.